Live from the Delectable Mountains, this is Derailed Trains of Thought. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Nick.
This is a pleasant spot.
We are in a pleasant spot. You know, we've been traveling along this road for a while. We just got past this really bad castle.
Oh, yeah. It was kind of depressing.
It was very depressing. Yeah. But this area is much more beautiful. I feel like...
You see that over there?
Yeah, just beyond those clouds, I feel like there's something really glowing there.
I guess this is a good time to stop probably, but I'd rather keep going.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I think we have to do a podcast first.
Yeah, podcast is important.
Yeah, it's true. Hello, folks.
At least there's no one on the road right now. We're just here. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's nice.
So, hello. Hi.
Hey, welcome to Derailed Trains of Thoughts.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Tim.
And we are your hosts for Derailed Trains of Thought, your premier podcast for the creator and the consumer.
All about storytelling.
Yes.
That's what we do here. Nick, I hear you're getting near the end of your school year.
Yes, it'll probably be just over by the time this comes out.
Right.
So that's exciting. My first full year.
Full year of teaching.
Yep.
Glad to have it behind you?
Yes.
Or under your belt. We'll
under my belt. Yes. No, it was a good year, but it was learned a lot. Things I'll change, improve, etc. But yeah, it's nice to be at the end of it. All the students are very ready to be done.
Sure.
Kind of everyone's chomping the bit at the moment.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hope all you listeners have been enjoying the websites since we announced it last time around.
If you have not, go enjoy it.
Yes, there's a lot to explore and more little fine tuning here and there probably still to do. But we haven't really been able to focus on a lot because you've been busy. And I had, unfortunately, a family event that happened recently. My grandmother passed away who had lived with us. She moved into our house when I was 12. So that was a hard thing to go through. I know you've gone through that before too, losing a grandparent. I mean, it's that my first grandparent I've lost, but this one was particularly difficult in some ways. All last week was kind of a blur. We had a viewing and a funeral, and Janelle and I went down with my folks and one of my sisters to South Carolina, which is where she was buried, and that was just a very strange trip, like flying down one day, doing a meeting with some family on the next day and flying back on the third day.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't mind flying because I don't do it very often, but that tied together, that much of an actual trip in between was kind of exhausting.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm kind of glad to get back to normal life. As normal as our strange life is with the podcast taking us to here, there, and yonder.
It keeps us on adventures.
That's true. It makes our life very interesting, for sure.
Yes. Well, with that said, I guess we'll head on into Story School. So today we are tackling what, Tim? This is your original idea.
The title I gave it in our topic thread was Barriers to Art.
And in this case, we're talking about barriers to consuming, watching, viewing, reading art.
Yes. In particular, the more challenging art forms. Longtime listeners may recall back in episode 40, we talked about entertainment glut. And that was all very much about like, how do you manage like the huge influx of art that our culture makes nowadays. Crazy enough, that episode was recorded. That was our December 2013 episode. And it is still a problem.
Oh, it's more so.
Yeah, more so. If not, There's still lots and lots to choose from. Although, interestingly, when I was re-listening to that episode today, I was like, I don't watch nearly as much TV as I did back then.
You know, it's interesting. There's more and more art, but I guess I'm less interested in more of it. Or interested in less of it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's one of the conclusions we came away with in that one is like, it's certainly fine to, as a limiting principle for your art consumption, to focus on the stuff that you're most interested in.
But today we're going to take a slightly different tack and talk about, you mentioned you had been running a book club Bible study thing with...
Yeah, kind of a small group with some other creative-minded people.
About Adorning the Dark by Andrew Peterson.
Yes.
And you'd mentioned that he makes a point of saying, we need to make an effort to ingest some harder, better art for us, not just the popcorn.
Yes.
We've used that metaphor of food before in various discussions.
Yeah. You don't want to just be consuming junk food art, even though entertainment is perfectly, needed at times.
Yeah.
You want something, a story should be relaxing at times, or I guess maybe if not should be, can be, and that's a healthy thing at times.
There's nothing wrong with being like, hey, I'm just going to go veg out per se.
Right. No, nothing wrong with having a candy bar now and then, but a candy bar shouldn't necessarily be your full diet, and especially, and that is true, especially for people who have an interest in creativity and arts and storytelling. It's good to try some of the more challenging stuff. I guess I should clarify, sometimes there's challenging art that's not necessarily healthy art either.
Yeah, I figure we'll get into that. But I guess today then is largely about how do we eat our veggies?
Yes, basically.
And again, that sounds like force feeding ourselves stuff we don't want. But in real life, you've probably found that when you eat your vegetables, then you start liking your vegetables.
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely there's been times when I can just kind of go with the basic stuff. I mean, obviously I have my standards for my junk food is probably healthier than what some other people consume on a regular basis. Yeah. I mean, I don't say that to brag.
No, are we talking real food at this point or entertainment? I'm getting confused with a metaphor.
I guess I mean more entertainment.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it. Like my junk food is things like, I'll admit, Kingdom Hearts to a degree, cartoons, certain kinds of anime, video games.
But most of it's relatively wholesome.
Yes, and I'm very selective. I'm not usually picking out for like the really raunchy stuff or the super sexualized stuff. But even some of these good fun things, oftentimes it has kind of a certain shallowness to them. Mm-hmm. Like it may be more meaningful for younger viewers or something like that. But for an adult, my age, sometimes I realize I'm kind of hankering for something a little deeper, a little bit more, something that has more truth in it.
A little denser, maybe.
A little denser, yeah. Something you want that challenge occasionally.
So what do you think? I think we come up with various barriers, but what's one barrier that you've thought of?
Well, one thing that I noticed in my own media consumption recently that struck me as interesting is that I actually haven't really been following movies nearly as much as I used to. Mm-hmm. Again, way back in the beginning of this podcast, I was at film school. Yeah. So I was much more hardcore into watching a lot of movies and, challenging movies, artsy movies, European movies, all that kind of thing. And I realized in the last couple of years, I really have fallen back and not really had that much interest in it. In comparison, if you look at my YouTube viewing habits, a lot of it is video game related. Because I find, even for games that I haven't played, I find the discussion of video games and the history and all the different genres that are out there, I've just been finding that getting more of my attention. And I think part of that is I was feeling a certain level of pretentiousness or a little more intimidation in I don't know these directors, or I haven't watched this genre movie, or I don't know my European cinema that super well.
Come on now, Tim.
Yeah. I think having gone to film school, suddenly there's this expectation. It's why don't you know this stuff?
So I guess then at least one thing you're saying is that the culture around some of the denser stuff tends to be a little more snobby.
A little bit.
And again, if you're not all in, you feel like, can I just tiptoe in or wade in, or do I have to commit to this entire thought process?
Yes. And I will admit too, another part of this is probably much more personal in terms of I kind of stepped away. I was doing videography for film school for a while, and then I stepped away from that because I was feeling really burnt out on it. And I think when I stepped away from videography, I probably also stepped away from film for a while. I was like, I'm just taking a break from all that. I'm going to go into the realm of video games and the stuff that is interesting me right now. So that's the more personal side of it. But I do think that there's this aspect of a lot of people doing game commentary stuff. And you're going to find some game communities where it's not that there's not pretentious among gamers. Yeah. Let's be clear. Yeah. You're going to find some that get real snotty about how to speed run certain things and will have very emphatic arguments about which Kingdom Hearts game is the best for what combat reasons. And you can be pretentious and snobby about anything.
Yeah.
But There's also a better attitude, and I found this a lot among game commentators, I feel, because there's such a wide variety of games, and most of us growing up as kids, you had access to a very finite range of those things because, what could you afford?
Yeah.
And now it's a lot of gamers are like interested in exploring the full spectrum of it.
Yeah.
It's almost like listening to like sports commentators for sports people, like the experts talk about all this stuff, and it's like, oh, trivia, facts, cool stuff, and you don't necessarily feel like, just like you don't feel like you have to be a professional football player to watch a football game. You don't feel like you have to be a professional gamer to enjoy the game commentary.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm kind of delving deep into that, but I think that's part of the barrier sometimes. I don't know as much about this as I should, intimidation factor.
Well, I think that's the same with books sometimes, that there's certain books that you just hear the name of and you're like, oh, that's going the entry level into that's going to be too high. Mm-hmm. And it's not always that way, actually. I mean, like, a lot of people think Dickens seems old school, but like you get into it and it's not.
Oh, sure.
Dostoevsky's not as bad as everyone thinks to get into. And also, like, if you came from an English background, you used to have to read, in college, read all these, like, critics and stuff. And then after that, it just got, some people like me, turns you off. Like, I don't care about, like, the level you're arguing at sucks all the enjoyment out of it.
They're arguing at a level that really only matters to that subset of people.
Yeah, exactly. But you mentioned something that I think with the limited access to games and then now, the wide range, I think some barrier, and this might be less for some people than others, is just because there's such a glut of art and movies and books and whatever, sometimes just having access to what you want to watch is complicated. I mean, it's always been, but it seems like, especially with video stuff, there's streaming systems. You got to have the right one, and some of them don't have older stuff, and then you got to go hunt down. Like, there's not DVD shops in the same way, and it can get a little funky. Like, I've always kind of thought about watching The Wire just because. I don't know. I just know people think it's like this great TV show.
Sure.
But outside of buying it, I'm not really sure how to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be at your library because
it's not. I did look the other day actually. I was curious
because I know Kindleville Library does still have TV seasons on DVD, and it's weird. Like at this point, TV shows on DVD almost feels like a retro thing.
And some of them are new. I mean, they got The Crown. I mean, they got like new stuff. And we still get all the new Masterpiece Theater stuff from there.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
It's cool.
I mean, that is one of the upsides and downsides of streaming services. Because you do get in that kind of almost cable channel clicking thing mindset of, I'm not going to look for something in specific. I'm just going to see what's there.
Exactly. As opposed to being like, I want to cultivate, look, I want to watch this particular. Just like, well, it's not here on Netflix, so I'll just watch this instead.
Yeah. Which I think is a shame because I think we've mentioned somewhere that I think there's something really to be said about taking the time to invest and seek out a certain piece of art. Because when you are looking for something, then you've invested something a little bit more than just, oh, this is what's available to me on a whim.
You're not just basically filling time. You're actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Not distinctly, but you've purposely said, I'm going to watch this thing and think about it versus like, oh, I'm going to I got half an hour.
What's on YouTube?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think access can be part of it, and sometimes access you can get most things somehow.
Yeah. And
just
I guess
how you get them.
Yeah. The thing is with a lot of these barriers, they're probably less walls to break down as they are hurdles to jump over.
Yeah. I mean, we tend to take the road of least resistance, and it wouldn't even take that much effort. You just have to use a little forethought or a little, like if you watch The Wire, you just have to go and like spend 10 minutes and figure out which library has it.
Yeah. Which library has it, or even which streaming service has it. I mean, at this point, there's enough of them. It might be on one of them.
That's true.
I don't even know who owns it.
I don't know either. I don't even know if I'd like it, but I just one of those names that keep throwing around. Yeah.
And I do, and I've said this before. Sometimes people say that, oh, now we're with all these streaming services, is like cable is back all over again. And to an extent, except streaming services are way easier to pick up and drop than cable contracts ever were.
Yes.
So you can, if you want, be more specific about what you watch that way.
I guess another one I thought of relatedly is just time. And there's a quote, or not quote, I guess, but something I remember talking to Brian Scherschel about way back when. He loved movies.
Film.
And, some of these longer ones that I had never watched, and I'm really bad about watching film. Unless someone shows me, and then I'm like, oh, this is great. Why didn't I watch this? But he said like people go and like binge watch a 12-hour show, a 12-hour TV show, but they won't put in a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it's just that idea of it is mentally makes it's easier to justify 45 minutes, 45 minutes, 45 minutes than 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that's true because you feel like there's an exit point. If I need to, I can take a break and stop.
Which I'll agree. I mean, I think that way, partly just because I often don't have 2.5 hours at a time to sit down and watch something. And not that I actually don't watch 45 minutes either. I mean, so there's also the time of just a lot of great, dense art takes time.
Yeah.
Whether it's video, books, like it's going to take much longer to read a dense piece of literature than it's going to be to read a fun comic book. And both are worthy, but like if you want some of that things to think on, it just takes more. You're choosing not to do other things.
Right.
Like when I remember reading, what did we read for a book club ages ago? Descent into Hell.
Oh, yeah. I think you're the only one who did that.
It was, but it stuck with me a long time. It's a weird, dense book. I'm not sure I still understand it. I just remember thinking, there's some really neat ideas here. Again, not one you just it was interesting because I also have not fond memories, but distinct memories of reading it in my daughter's room as I'm waiting for her to fall asleep. Because that was back when they were real young. And
Which daughter? Serene?
probably Serene at that point. Mercy would have been, maybe it was Mercy. She would have been like 2 or something. So it was probably actually Mercy.
Okay.
Yeah. Or it could have been both. They live in the same room. So.
Well, okay. Fair enough. But we mentioned book club. I think the community aspect is one of these things I think it can help us overcome these barriers.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Book clubs are great for like, I want to read more books, but I need something to motivate me to get it done, or like someone that I can go and talk about the book with.
And again, it's just that little thing of having someone else saying, I'm going to read it too, suddenly makes it gets rid of a lot of the barrier.
That's true.
You're just like, well, he's reading it, I'll read it, and then it's more fun because we can talk about how much we like or to hate it, depending on the book.
Yeah, depending on the book. And so, yeah, that takes out some of or it gives you a reason, something to look forward to talk about. It's not just you in a vacuum with this book or with a movie, because I know there are like movies clubs and.
Well, we had one for a while.
And we might tease a little something here at some point in this podcast, but about something else we have in mind for y'all. But I've heard on one of the Muppet podcasts that I follow, Moving Right Along, one of their guests is a friend with one of the main hosts, and apparently they have this live action Disney movie club just between the two of them, where they'll each watch an old live action Disney movie, which I kind of love that idea.
That's kind of great.
It's like, because there's a lot of old live action Disney movies, and that's such a very interesting, specific piece of pop culture to like compare notes on.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not necessarily high art like we're talking about here.
No, but it is. I mean, depending how you approach it, maybe it gives you some new information that you didn't have from whatever your regular is.
Sure.
I think that leads me into another one I thought of, which is just, and this one's kind of harder, is that if you're used to a certain style of either genre or videography or whatever, there is a hurdle of, I'm entering, especially you're changing, in books, it's a higher language, or a movie like, it's black and white. I mean, there are those sort of like almost reworking your mind to be like, it doesn't work like I'm used to.
Right. Yeah, that is a barrier. The
foreignness.
The foreignness, exactly. You mentioned some cinema examples there, but also books, like just a weird way of using language and words. And sometimes you can get in the mindset. I think Dickens is still pretty approachable.
He's very, especially,
Great Expectations.
Great Expectations was very approachable.
Yeah. But there's certainly...
First time I read a Russian novel, it's like, who are all these characters? And again, it took a while to kind of get it's written from a different culture. I mean, foreign films are this way, foreign books. There's just a different way of looking at it. Whenever you have to read like high school or college, things fall apart.
Right.
It's just suddenly like, wait, this is...
Or opera, for example.
Opera, yeah.
You've got like a language barrier there, and it's one of these...
Subtitles in general.
Yeah, but it is probably one of these things that you kind of have to see a little bit easier, kind of like Shakespeare.
Yeah.
It's hard to fully grok Shakespeare, I feel like, until you thank you. I got a thumbs up from Nick for using grok. He's taught it to me well.
It's a great word. You've now grokked the meaning.
Yeah, the imbibing understanding
yes.
of a thing.
We are single-handedly trying to get all people to use the word grok.
But it's much easier to grok Shakespeare watching it. Well, I mean, it helps if you read it first and then watch it.
It does.
Kind of those things together really serve it well.
And think about the benefits. In some ways, the benefits of trying something that's outside your comfort zone, whether it's Shakespeare or a foreign book or poetry, if you're not used to poetry, is that it also just expands your understanding of the breadth and width of art itself. I mean, whether it's something you you might read and be like, yeah, I'm not doing that one again. Even everyone likes it, but at least then it's the same reason people say, hey, you should go to Europe and run around for a while just so you know that America's not the only place, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, even if you only ever read, say, one Alexander Dumas story, then you'll be like, well, at least I know a little bit of what Dumas is like.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, question, Tim, we're talking about breaking down these barriers. Why?
Good question.
I mean, what if I just like my mysteries and just, or my soaps or whatever?
Well, again, I don't necessarily think that all people need the Renaissance man approach.
Yes.
Like we talked about this in the entertainment
You don't have
thing.
to be Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah, you don't have to grok everything.
Yeah.
But if you don't try out some new things, you might be missing out on something that you don't think is going to connect with you, but actually does.
That's true.
So you might be missing out on that thing. And I think it is also, like you said, good to have a wider understanding of the world.
Especially as a creative. I mean, we use that word loosely, but if you are making some sort of art purposely, it's good to just be exposed to, oh, that's an interesting thing I never really thought about doing. Mm-hmm. You can bring it in and, it might be completely transformed.
Sure.
But
it will inform your own artwork in some way. I think we talked about this when there was an episode we talked about forgetting stories.
Yeah.
Something that you read or watch, encounter may seep in somewhere in part of your creative psyche and will find a way of expressing. A lot of art is just recreation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is totally fine. Artists borrow from each other all the time because they've been informed by each other.
One thing we started with the idea of, wanting the dents, the meat, the veggies, or whatever, is that part of art is entertainment, but part of art also is truth. We're trying to wrestle with truth or deep ideas or understanding humans better or God better or whatever.
Yeah.
And so being exposed to different views of that sometimes can sharpen it. Even if I think, say, I'm a Christian, but I read something that's completely not in the right context, it might inform my Christianity better.
That's true.
Which is why, like, say, at Taylor, we read The Stranger, which I reference all the time.
Yeah.
It's
It's true. It's become a touchstone. Anyone who went through that class knows The Stranger and Brave New World and Siddhartha. Siddhartha doesn't come up as much in our conversations.
No,
but
it didn't resonate in the same way. I mean, The Stranger at least was weird.
but it certainly encapsulated a thought, an idea.
Very well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know there's some science fiction books I've read, because science fiction tends to come from a very secular humanist point of view that has informed my thought process in an interesting way. Just, that's what they think, and that's true as far as it goes, but it's not. Mm-hmm. And there's just as a search for, I don't like to say search for truth, but there is already truth, but a greater understanding of truth. I think there is benefit in reading great works of art from people who don't believe exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think that we probably as Christians need to spend a little bit more time seeking out great Christian art.
I agree with that, yeah.
Something else Andrew Peterson wrote in his book, Adorning the Dark, was that Christian artists especially can get kind of snooty about Christian artists.
Yeah.
About labeling things that or saying like, I'm an artist who happens to be a Christian, because there's a bad reputation for it. But unless you start to think about, well, okay, what do you think about the works of Lewis, Tolkien, and
almost anyone before 1900.
Yeah, Bach.
Yep.
There's a lot of great arts that's from like great composers and writers that we recognize as high literature.
Who were informed by Christian worldview. St. Augustine. Yep.
So I think sometimes we need to go back to those roots.
Yes.
When sometimes ingesting a lot of secular media, I start yearning for something that points me towards God.
I think that's true. I think part of the whole, needing something dense, and I feel this way too, is that there's something missing from secular art that can't, it might get this little bit of this repeat, but there's something that just, there's a depth or a center or a gravity or something that's just not in. And
I think we talked about this last year, the God-shaped plot hole.
Yeah, exactly. But I think also related to that is a barrier to good art from a Christian point of view that sometimes we don't know where to find it. And a lot of modern stuff, I'm not saying there isn't great Christian art, but we tend to not know about modern great art in the same way. You can always point to the old people.
Yeah, because the classics have had so much more time for people to recognize it as great work. Yeah, it is a shame. Sometimes I would like to find more of the current stuff. I guess I keep meaning to look more into the Rabbit Room.
Yeah.
Which is an online community. I think that's meant for this sort of thing. Although I know that there's also a lot of songwriters on there, which is great. But
that's not our cup of tea. I mean,
that's not the thing that draws us most.
I'm not writing songs.
Right.
And I think that's why sometimes, and I don't look at it as often enough, but World Magazine always has their book of the year. And a lot of times, sometimes they point out some really strong Christian art. It's not always necessarily Christian, but a lot of times it is.
Yeah.
So I think we've pinpointed some of those barriers, and I think we've pinpointed some reasons why we should, or hurdles. Let's say hurdles. But I think it makes better sense.
Yeah, and ways we can hopefully hop around or hop over them.
Hop around them. Well, that'll work too.
I guess.
It's I get it. I didn't even run on this track. I just go around. And I think just an encouragement to ourselves and to you, dear listener, enjoy your, just your fun fluff. I hate to say fluff. That makes it sound derogatory. But just your fun, whatever you read, listen to, watch, etc. But also make an effort to pick that one or two things that are like, oh, wait, I always meant to do that. Or someone said this was really good, but it's 500 pages or, whatever.
Yeah. Hopefully we give you some ideas with our annual book club discussions.
Yes. Usually we have some good choices in there.
Also, sometime this year, you can be on the lookout. I won't tease this too much, but we have been talking about doing some more spin-off podcasts for y'all.
The website had to come first, and now we can use it for something.
That's right. And one of those ideas is kind of a movie discussion podcast where Nick and I will watch some movies that will be new for at least one of us.
Yep.
And we'll get to talk about it. It'll be a little different from what we do with the Weekly Hijack.
It'll be a little more thoughtful than not that Hijack's not thoughtful, but it's very off the cuff.
Yeah, it's meant to be your instant reactions. And this one we're working to hopefully make it a little bit different. So we haven't really launched into that. We're into planning stages for it, but stay tuned. Hopefully we have something that we can give some cool movie recommendations your way too.
All right, I guess we'll move on to our first soundtrack. Today, talking about barriers to art, I was just thinking, from video games, sometimes there's games you want to play, but they're old, or you don't have the right system, or, I can't access this thing because I only have a Nintendo Switch sort of thing. And
I know you also have a Super Nintendo now.
I do have a Super Nintendo, which has access to a lot of them, yes. Mm-hmm. But, I never played any Sega games, really. The Neo Graphics 64 or whatever. But half related to that, my son and I watched Dragon Quest Your Story. It's this movie on Netflix.
Okay.
We really liked it. But a lot of it's inspired by Dragon Quest IV.
Is this an anime? Or?
Well, it was like a computer-generated, computer graphic movie.
Okay.
Original Japanese.
Okay.
Netflix brought. It's a lot of fun. The ending's interesting. We have mixed feelings on the ending. But it's just a lot of fun. Immediately after, we both desperately wanted to play more Dragon Quest.
Okay.
It was just fun. It just made you like adventure.
I hear Dragon Quest 11 is if you're looking for a modern game, that's top notch.
Well, and immediately after, Theo downloaded the demo for Dragon Quest 11. And at some point, we'll end up with it. But I happen to have Dragon Quest 9 on DS. Anyways, this movie was based a lot on Dragon Quest 4, which I guess people love and so on. But you can get it on the phone now. But for us, we're like, I was going to try to hunt down for like on the DS so we could play it, and it was like $200 because that's just how it is now.
Yeah, the apparently the retro market has just exploded in the last several years because, like I said, people want to explore the width and breadth of gaming, and they like to collect games.
Yeah.
So all the retro stuff is now like as expensive as when it originally came out, if not more.
More. And a few didn't want to play on the phone. But anyways, so I was thinking I was in that mood of Bears art, and so I found this remix from Dragon Warrior, how we call it here in the United States, for The Grief of Actemto, remixed by Ryan 8-Bit. I hope you enjoy. And welcome back. Now we're going to do something we haven't done for a few months, which is Challenge Accepted.
Well, wait a minute. Did we skip a segment here, Nick?
Oh, yes, we did. We skipped Once Upon a Sentence, but we are moving it.
Oh, we're kind of combining it.
Yes, our Challenge Accepted today, we were talking about various art, so we have picked individually, Tim and I, various first and last lines from hopefully somewhat important novels.
Novels that we could find online. So like a lot of Project Gutenberg, I imagine
Yep.
you're looking at. So like, yeah, these are probably hopefully considered good literature.
Yes, or at least I consider mine good literature. And then at the end, we'll do one final one for you all, dear listeners.
We'll give you a sentence and you see if you can identify what book it comes from.
Yes, and it may not be from the beginning or end for yours.
For yours.
For yours. All right, Tim, shall I start?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. This one's a pretty famous line if you know it, otherwise you're lost. So here we go. Happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way.
Okay. Happy families are all alike.
Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way.
This sounds like something Jane Austen would say.
You know, it does sound like Jane Austen. It is not British.
It's not British.
It's not British.
Oh, drat. Is it American?
No.
Drat. No, I don't think I know this.
It is Russian.
Okay. Okay. That makes
That
sense.
helps.
Is it Brothers Karamazov?
It is not.
The Idiot.
Nope. It is Anna Karenina.
The next one I probably should have gone for.
So if you know such things, it's a pretty famous line. It's beginning, and then the unhappy family is the one we're talking about, and get into all that.
Okay.
So, yes.
All right. Well, here's my first one for you, Nick.
Time for me to fail.
As I walked through the wilderness of this world, I lighted on a certain place where there was a den, and I laid me down in that place to sleep. And as I slept, I dreamed a dream.
Oh. I'm probably completely wrong. Wait.
This is all one sentence.
Yeah. Oh, I'm probably mixing it with something else. It's not Plato's Parable of a Cave, is it?
No.
Okay. I don't know why. I've never even read that. Read it to me one more time.
Sure. As I walked through the wilderness of this world, I lighted on a certain place where there was a den, and I laid me down in that place to sleep. And as I slept, I dreamed a dream.
Oh, is this Pilgrim's Progress?
It is the Pilgrim's Progress.
Okay, that makes more sense.
By John Bunyan.
Both ways you were going, and the other one would have been nonfiction, so I don't know why you catch that one. But,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, the whole story is like it's a dream that he had.
I
or
forgot it
something.
was a dream.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay. All right. What's your next one, Nick?
All right. This one is easy and hard.
Okay.
Leo de Grand, the king of Cameliard, had one fair daughter and none other child, and she was the fairest of all flesh on earth, Guinevere, and in her his one delight.
Okay, so I see what you mean right away. It's obviously some King Arthur story, but,
Yes.
but whose version?
So I'll read it one more time. Leningrad, the king of Cameliard, had one fair daughter and none other child, and she was the fairest of all flesh on earth, Guinevere, and in her his one delight.
Great. Now it's like, okay.
There's only 20 versions here. So
Yeah. Is this from Ivanhoe?
It is not Ivanhoe.
Okay.
No.
That was just the first, like, okay, what's a classic one that would be easily available online?
I did find some things that were not overly old in various places, but this is older.
I'm guessing it's not the Once and Future King, because that's a more recent.
Oh, that would
telling.
no. Least favorite King Arthur ever. That book should have been way better. It
Yeah.
wasn't.
You said that before.
Yes. So my other clue is the way I break
The way you what?
the way I take a pause. So Leningrad, the king of Cameliard, had one fair daughter and none other child, and she was the fairest of all flesh on earth, Guinevere, and in her his one delight.
Oh, wait a minute. Is this like a poem?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's useful, but I still don't think I know it.
Okay, and I had to pick this one just because I love this book, The Idols of the King by Tennyson.
Oh, I was thinking like British poet. That came to mind, but like I was like, I don't.
So I fell in love with that in Brit Lit back in college. I've read it twice
makes
now, I
sense.
think.
I kind of wish I've read more Tennyson than I have. I know he's like one of the premier British writers.
That's the only one I really remember, but it's a really good Arthur story, his version.
Didn't Sinclair quote Tennyson several times on Babylon 5?
Oh, probably. Yeah. Not with a bang but a whimper. I think that's Tennyson too. That famous phrase. Okay. So mine are a little unfair, but there you go.
All right. Here's my next one. This will sound more, very setting the tone kind of thing, which a lot of these first lines are.
Yeah.
In the year 1878, I took my degree of Doctor of Medicine of the University of London and proceeded to Netley to go through the course prescribed for surgeons in the army.
Oh, sir. Studying Scarlet.
Oh, good job.
Nice. I knew it was Watson, or I thought it was Watson.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember what would have been the first time he would have.
Yeah, that's the first book.
I don't know if I've read. Well, I think I have read Study in Scarlet, but it's been a long time.
Good job. Yeah, I was like the surgeons in the army thing. I thought that's your clue for who the character is talking.
Okay, here I'll give you one that hopefully will be a little easier. Okay. The creatures outside looked from pig to man, and from man to pig, and from pig to man again. But already it was impossible to say which was which.
That sounds like Animal Farm.
It is Animal Farm. Yay!
I know my Orwell.
Well,
sort of. It's one of those I know more by osmosis than actually reading it.
Yeah. And it's one of those that hopefully, if you know enough about what the story is, you can tell.
Yeah, it's true. All right. Yeah, I think for similar reasons, you should probably get this one, but we'll see if I trip you up at all.
We should be keeping points. But.
Yeah, we should. Well, so far I've gotten one, and I think you've gotten both of them so far. So
okay.
So you're a lead.
Did I get both of them? What was your first one?
The Pilgrim's Progress.
Oh, second. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we're counting. We're giving each other multiple guesses here. When Margaret grows up, she will have a daughter who is to be Peter's mother in turn, and thus it will go on as long as children are gay and innocent and heartless.
I believe that is Peter Pan.
Yeah, Jamie. I figured he mentions Peter's name in there, but it's I couldn't when I read that, it's like that's a nice line.
That is a nice line.
Nice closing line.
See, I think I'm only winning because you picked nicer lines than I did.
Well, I went with just things that came off the top of my head first, so that might be. But I'm not quite as deeply read as you. And honestly, the first line of that would have given away just as easily.
Yeah.
The first line is all children except one grow up. Well, that's obvious.
Yes. Okay, here's one.
So, okay, I guess we both had 3 lines so far, and so now you're at
4.
3.
Oh, I'm question 4, but yeah, I have 3 points. You have 1 point.
Right.
Yes. All right, this one, I'll try. It's a little older language. I dwell the longer upon this subject from the desire I have to make the society of an English Yahoo by any means not insupportable. And therefore I here entreat those who have any tincture of this absurd vice that they will not presume to come into my sight.
I believe I know this one.
There is a clue in there.
Gulliver's Travels.
Yes, very good.
I almost said Gilligan's Island. I was like, wait, no, that's not right.
Well, I was hoping, I'm like, I would have known that except the Yahoo thing.
Yeah, exactly. The Yahoo is what helps.
So if you know Gulliver's Travel, you're like, oh.
Which I know from, did you ever see that miniseries that was on TV?
Like back in the
90s?
Yeah, it was pretty
Ted
good.
Danson. Yeah, that's what made that stick in my mind.
Okay, nice.
All right, so this is a bit of an older one. Not as many context clues, I don't think. So.
Okay, well, just see if I know it from sheer memory.
Exactly. The oldest hath borne most. We that are young shall never see so much, nor live so long.
Whoa, I like it, but I don't recognize it. Read one more time.
The oldest hath borne most. We that are young shall never see so much, nor live so long.
Oh, man.
And I know you've read this, but it's probably been a while.
Huh. I mean, it has a sort of... I'm going to kick myself on here, but I don't know.
You want to get... You have an idea?
Not enough one to guess anything.
I will say this is... It's probably written in meter of some sort.
Oh, interesting. Wait, this first or last?
It's a last.
Okay, then maybe...
That might help.
No, I don't think... No, I don't think it's right. Paradise Lost.
No.
Okay. I don't think that's quite right. It would have a different, more God-centered sort of... I mean, just because very explicitly. What is that?
That is from King Lear by William Shakespeare.
Nice. King Lear is good. Yeah, it's been a long time. I'd like to read that one again. It was really good.
I'm guessing you read that one in high school?
No, that one I read with in Britlit too.
Oh, in Britlit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just know you said that the Unremarkable Squire has a lot of King Lear influence in it.
It's true. Or King Rail.
Baked into it, yeah.
Yeah. So. All right. Let's do...
I tricked you with one or stumped you.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, this is a different sort of book than we've been having.
Okay.
That would be a clue. First line. Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, unregarded yellow sun.
Ooh, okay. All right, let me hear it one more time.
Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, unregarded yellow sun. I'll say this as another hint. It's a lighter tone than a lot of the books we've been talking about.
Okay. Well, science fiction, obviously, but...
I'm not sure I would get this one, but it makes sense once you hear it.
Would I know it? Do you think this is something I've read? Or you just mean if you know the story, you would know it?
once you hear it, you're like, oh, that makes sense. That's the beginning of this.
Okay.
You've probably read it, or you know a lot of. It's a very well-known science fiction. Again, like I said, mine's so unfair.
That's the question. Is it a well-known title or is it a well-known story?
Both.
Okay.
At least in our circles, it would be. I told you mine were evil.
See, I was assuming it was like an Asimov or something.
No,
that,
it is
I
not.
would
It's not
recognize,
Asimov.
but
It's. I have read it. There are several books.
it's not Ender's Game, is it?
It is not.
Okay.
That's not lighter tone.
No, I guess not.
There are several books of that though. A little older than Ender's Game.
Okay. I'm guessing it's not a John Carter book.
No,
Dune?
it is not Dune.
Which is not really lighter either, from
No,
what I understand.
it is.
I give up.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh! Yeah.
Even the tone, once you realize that, you're like, yeah. This
Yeah, okay. That's annoying.
It's kind of unfair, but
All right.
it's literature.
Yeah, I guess so.
As far as humor novels go, it's literature.
Yeah, I should. Okay. Yeah, I was stuck on the lighter thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here's your next one.
All right.
It bore a device, a herald's wording of which might serve for a motto and brief description of our now concluded legend. So somber is it, and relieved only by one ever-glowing point of lights, gloomier than the shadow. On a field, sable, the letter A, ghouls. And ghouls is spelled Gules, so I'm not sure if I'm actually saying that right.
It seems like another King Arthur thing, but maybe not.
There's one clue in there.
Yeah.
Whether
The A? No. You read it one more time.
It bore a device, a herald's wording of which, I guess I should mention this is the last line.
Yeah, I figured it. Yeah, from context, it seemed like it.
Yeah. It bore a device, a herald's wording of which might serve for a motto and brief description of our now concluded legend. So somber is it, and relieved only by one ever-glowing point of lights, gloomier than the shadow. On a field, sable, the letter A, ghouls.
Oh, man, good line. I don't know.
Any guesses?
I got
This is an American author.
American author. Is it?
So with that, it's not super old, but
No.
it is. But you can maybe tell by the language.
But the language is
oldish.
trying to be kind of old-ish. It has a kind of legendese, old schooly type of feel. I do not know.
This is The Scarlet Letter
Really?
by Nathaniel Hawthorne.
That's the end of the Scarlet Letter, huh? I saw the A and I thought, but I'm like, it didn't. I should have just guessed it because
Yeah,
she has
there
the
you go.
Scarlet A. Wow, the setup was just between
you ever-
reading the word of the device and stuff. That is very Hawthorne the way he wrote it, though.
Yeah. Did you ever read The Scarlet Letter?
I've read it at least once. Yeah,
Yeah, I read it back in high
liking
school.
it. Yeah.
Certain scenes definitely stand out in memory. I
Yes.
don't know, I could remember. There's a lot I'm sure I don't remember.
I've mentioned on the podcast, I've turned Dimmesdale into a verb. He's the pastor who would like whip himself to make himself feel better for his sins.
Uh-huh.
So like whenever I'm just like purposely trying to make myself feel horrible about myself,
okay.
I fear I'm Dimmesdaling myself.
I see.
Okay, this is short story.
Okay.
Okay, famous short story.
Okay.
In compliance with a request of a friend of mine who wrote me from the East, I called on good-natured, garrulous old Simon Wheeler and inquired after my friend's friend, Leonidas M. Smiley, as requested to do, and I hereto append the result.
Oh, man.
I would tell it's also American.
That sounds familiar. Oh, gosh. Oh, boy. I feel like this is one I'm going to kick myself if I don't get it. Oh. Is this Mark Twain?
It is Mark Twain.
Okay, I knew it. I don't know if I can say the
You get
title.
close,
precise.
yeah.
It's like the leaping frog something or
Yeah,
other.
the Jumping Frog, Cavaliers County.
Okay,
Good
nice.
job, Tim.
Wow, that smiley thing that like rung a bell is like I don't know how I know. Oh man, yeah, that's a deep pull.
That's good work. It's one of those. Yeah, I figured if you read it, you might possibly.
That is definitely high school literature.
Yeah, well, I just taught that story.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like,
nice.
it was
From middle school. Yeah, it's a good middle school book.
Yeah, well, and we
Or
read
story.
it largely just as exposure to. We did
Mark
a lot
Twain.
deep, but yeah, I mean, it's a funny Mark Twain story.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
funny even if you're in middle school.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, I can feel.
3
I
to
feel
3
proud of
then,
that
I
one.
think.
So, is that three? My third one?
That's your third one. I think I'm still at 3 because I've not been doing well. So
Okay, so how many? Well, we'll finish this up and then we'll count.
Yeah.
because I think you started the rounds here.
yeah, that's true.
All right. Matrimony was ordained thirdly, said Jane Studdock to herself, for the mutual society, help, and comfort that the one ought to have of the other.
Oh, that sounds like Jane Austen. It may not be. Give me the name again. It's Jane who?
Studdock.
Studdock. See, I only ever read Pride and Prejudice, so it might not be. I don't know if there's another Jane in the other ones.
I'm pleased. So now you didn't recognize the character right away. That helps.
Yeah, it's either that or... See, I don't think there's Matrimony as much. I know the other famous sort of book with... I've never read Little Women either, so I don't know if it has anything... But that's not...
This is tricky.
Joe.
Trixie.
Yeah. Jane's Pride and Prejudice. I don't think there's another famous Jane. Third is Matrimony. Read one more time.
Yeah. Matrimony was ordained, thirdly, said Jane Studdock to herself, for the mutual society, help, and comfort that the one ought to have of the other.
Oh, snap. It does seem very British at the very least. Ugh. My winning streak is over. Someone's listening right now and being like, how dare you not know this one? I'm going to just throw a random guess. I know nothing about it. I'm just going to guess Northanger Abbey.
No.
Okay, I have no idea.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
This is not a romance book.
Interesting.
This is actually a science fiction book, nominally.
Then I would guess it's That Hideous Strength.
You are correct.
Wow! That science fiction helped a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'll give myself a half a point. Wow.
That Hideous Strength by C.S. Lewis, which is a very different book and starts differently than the other two.
Once you did that, that's about the only science fiction book it could possibly be after that. All right.
Pretty much.
All right, I'll just do this one just because. Either know it or you don't.
Okay.
It was a pleasure to burn.
Wow.
First line.
It's a first line. Fahrenheit 451.
Exactly. Good
All
work.
right.
It's a pretty great first line for that book.
Yeah, very nice and succinct. It sounds like a 20th century kind of line, actually, now I think about it, as opposed to some of these other ones. And especially compared to this next first line, this is going to be a long one, so hang
Go
in there.
for it. Okay.
It happened that among those worthies who were summoned unto London town by the mandate of the Archbishop, as above recounted, there was as above recounted? I guess there was a prologue
or something. Okay.
I guess so. There was a certain knight, very honorable and of high estate, by name Sir Ector of Bonmaison, surnamed the Trustworthy Knight because of the fidelity with which he kept the counsel of those who confided in him, and because he always performed unto all men, whether of high or low degree, that which he promised to undertake, without defalcation as to the same. So I apologize if maybe this is, I guess I didn't realize there was a preface or that the preface, I thought the preface was more
It's probably just on the top of my mind, but I still think it's King Arthur guy. Sir Hector seems like, but it's probably not.
You are on the right track.
But I'm trying to figure out. I don't think
This is what gave me
King was so.
This is what stumped me on the previous King Arthur one, because like I actually looked up a King Arthur one myself, but it's a different author, so it's like, well, it's not that. So who is it?
Archbishop. So it's not. How many versions are there? I don't think it's Once in Future King. I don't feel like the language is quite that old, if I remember right, but maybe it was.
If you get the author here, that's what I'll count for it, because the title is rather generic.
Oh, really? It's not Le Morte d'Arthur, I don't believe, but that's older than that. I don't think there's church people running around by that point. I could be wrong on that.
But you may not know. This might be more of a me thing than you think.
Well, that's fine. My next one is that too. So I'll trade you one for one. Is it by, what is that guy's name? He wrote Robin Hood and the Merry Men. What's that old one?
Yeah, I think you're on the right
That
path
guy.
here. Yeah, that guy.
What is, I should probably say his name, but I don't remember. I was thinking there's a Howard in there. Is there?
Yeah,
Howard
there is.
Pyle or something
Yep,
like that?
that's it. You got it.
All right.
That is The Story of King Arthur and His Knights by Howard Pyle.
Nice. Wow. Not bad, actually.
So I love his version of Robin Hood. He's my favorite Robin Hood author.
Yeah.
Not that I read a whole lot. I won't claim to be super wide read, but I love his Robin Hood. So I know he's got a similar kind of tone with the King Arthur, his take on King Arthur.
I think I read the Robin Hood ages ago, but I don't think I've read the King Arthur one.
Yeah, I don't know that I ever have either. So I looked at the Robin Hood first, but like the first and last, and both have Robin Hood in the name. So
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do that.
Okay, this one I'm going to need a little context for, probably, just because I'm not sure you've read it,
Okay, but you have.
and it's been talked about at some point here.
Okay.
I think. Okay, there was once in the country of Aleph Bay a sad city, the saddest of cities, a city so ruinously sad that I had forgotten its name. Obviously, you got the style there.
Yeah.
It's a relatively modern book.
Okay. Give it to me one more time.
There was once in the country of Aleph Bay a sad city, the saddest of cities, a city so ruinously sad that I had forgotten its name. I might have to give you one more clue because having not read it, I'm not sure I would get it outside of the fact that we have mentioned it.
For some reason, Neil Gaiman first came to mind.
You know what? That's not a bad guess. It's not him.
Okay.
But that would be something he would write.
Uh-huh.
It is, okay, big hint.
Okay.
It is associated with one of the shows that we have hijacked.
Oh, really?
I mean, like,
Loosely.
loosely. Like, it's been referenced in some way in one of the shows.
Oh. Is this an Oz book?
It is not an Oz book. It does sound like Oz.
Yeah. Okay.
That's actually real good. I almost pulled Oz, but it had Dorothy both times. I'm like, no, I'm not going.
Am I on the right track with Once Upon a Time?
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But there's a lot of books referenced in Lost, for instance.
Well, okay. So it's a...
Last clue.
Okay.
I believe the
Give me a
author
bunch.
has won a Pulitzer Prize.
Okay, well, that's that. Now I'm trying to think of fantasy books that were referenced in Lost. Because it sounds fantasy-ish to me.
Yeah, it's very kind of kind of Oz, Alice in Wonderland-ish. Yeah.
No, you've given me a lot of hints.
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I don't think I got
It
it.
wasn't hard. It is Haroon and the Sea of Stories.
Okay, I should. That thought crossed my mind, maybe, just because I think I used it in a previous challenge, except at some point
did you?
and you recognized it.
Okay.
So
It is a great book, by the way.
So
It
is
is
it-
completely worth reading.
the only relevance to Lost is that Desmond was reading it at some point.
Well, and the giant plug in the.
And the sea.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry,
Nice.
I know mine. That was one of my. Well, I got a couple unfair ones, but that was one of them.
Well, this one, to be fair,
Yeah.
is also sort of unfair.
That's fine. Go for it.
But this is probably more for our audience than maybe you, because I
Okay.
feel like it's possible people who have read it would know it. So
Yes.
anyway, but in spite of these deficiencies, the wishes, the hopes, the confidence, the predictions of the small band of true friends who witnessed the ceremony were fully answered in the perfect happiness of the union.
That last line.
That is a last line, yes.
Is it? 20 questions. Is it British?
It is.
Okay. Oh, I don't know. When it gets to something like that, there's like just 3 books that always pop up that probably has nothing to do with any of them.
Do you want to hear it again?
Sure, why not?
But in spite of these deficiencies, the wishes, the hopes, the confidence, the predictions of the small band of true friends who witnessed the ceremony were fully answered in the perfect happiness of the union.
I got nothing.
That is Emma by Jane Austen.
Okay.
So yeah, it was
Yeah.
like it sounds.
Is it like, but like
appropriate.
it's Austin or something like that.
But
But
who knows? Yeah, there's not. Yeah, I know. It was
I'm
taking
not-
me a while to come up with stuff. So
Well,
I just
yeah.
like we'll go with that.
well, yeah. Here's one.
Oh,
Oh
great.
yeah, here we go.
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
Okay. See, unfortunately, some of these I pulled from like you said, like memories I have of these books and things that stuck with me.
Mhm.
And maybe you've read the book, you'd get.
Yeah.
But actually, let me do this one that has a clue first. This will be better.
Okay.
I think even if you've read this, you might manage it.
Okay.
Okay. When the sea goes down, there will come from the mainland boats and men, and they will find 10 dead bodies and an unsolved problem on Indian Island. Signed, Lawrence Wargrave
Okay. So I take it that's the end
of the book.
of the
Yep.
book. All right. Let me hear.
So
it one more
there are some clues.
Okay.
When the sea goes down, there will come from the mainland boats and men, and they will find 10 dead bodies and an unsolved problem on Indian Island. Signed, Lawrence Wargrave.
Yeah, there's names there that
The names I wouldn't recognize. I think what
Okay.
10 dead bodies, unsolved mystery would be my.
could it be Lord of the Flies?
It is not. That's actually a really good guess.
Okay.
No,
Well,
but
I'm really great at coming up with good guesses. Apparently, not necessarily the actual books.
mystery.
Mystery. Okay.
Mystery.
Mystery is a big thing here,
This is actually one of the few mysteries that I remember reading.
and it's considered literature.
Well, it's a mystery.
Fair enough.
I think as far as mystery goes, it would be pretty noticeable.
Is it something by Agatha Christie?
It is.
Oh, it is.
It is. I thought we'd go a little different.
Oh, Death on the Nile.
Nope. And then there were none.
Oh,
Tended
okay.
bodies, unsolved mystery.
Ah.
10 little Indians, none came back. Sort of thing.
Okay. That's kind of the way that, okay. Yep, that makes sense. Yep.
We're getting to the weird ones, Tim.
Yes. I'm going to switch up my order here a little bit because I figured it makes more sense to end with an ending line than,
Yep.
And since I got 2 left to go. So we'll do my last opening line, which, like yours, it starts a little funny because it starts as a letter.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is a sentence technically.
Nah, we'll go, yeah.
Yeah, we'll just use that. So anyway, to Mrs. Sayville, England, St. Petersburg, December 11th, 17. You will rejoice to hear that no disaster has accompanied the commencement of an enterprise which you have regarded with such evil forebodings.
Ooh, interesting. That is epistolary novel sounding. And what would be an evil... There's only 2 epistolary novels that come to mind, but I'm not sure it's one of them. I'm going to guess it's probably not remotely this, but I've not read it. Dracula.
No, but right genre.
Frankenstein, then.
Frankenstein.
See, it was one. Okay.
You got me curious. I went back and looked at it. The first, there's like 4 letters that open it before, and then it goes into chapter 1.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth letters I remember from reading.
Okay. I never actually read Frankenstein, so.
I don't remember hardly any of it, but I did have to read it.
Okay.
I think I'd probably really appreciate it even more now. I liked it then.
Sure. All right, we're going into the last round, Nick. What are our scores?
It's 4 to 4.5. I have 4.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you count that last one?
I did not. Should I count that last one?
Yeah.
As a whole one?
Yeah, that's a whole one.
Okay, fine. 5.5.
Because I know some of those you gave me hints for. I think.
Well, I know, but mine are not easy. Okay?
Fair enough.
These last 2 are just unfair. I'm sorry.
Wait, last 2? I thought we were on the last.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I have too many. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to, you're right. The last one is one of those, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Last line.
I'm not surprised you're winning in this because, like, I consider you more widely read than I am.
Well, and I picked, again, it's one of those, like, if you know the book, you probably get, but if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. One bird said to Billy Pilgrim, "Pute wheat?"
Okay.
The pute wheat is actually a big recurring theme in this book.
I am impressed. Generally, you seem to have found more succinct openings or closings than the ones I was finding. Okay, let me hear it one more time.
One bird said to Billy Pilgrim, "Pute wheat?" I only remember this line because when we read it, that pute wheat comes all the time. We used to make fun of it. We thought it was hilarious. But like it's throughout the book. It's this thematic thing.
Okay. Man, there are a lot of clues in there, but I have no idea.
Let's see. I had some clues.
Are there birds talking?
No, it's just the sound of the bird. There are.
Oh, okay.
Pute wheat, just the sound the bird makes.
Okay.
Billy Pilgrim's obviously the main character.
Okay.
It has to do with war.
Is this a Russian novel?
It is not. It's an American novel.
It's not The Red Badge of Courage, is it?
It is not.
Okay.
Major hint, maybe. I believe the author was born in Indiana.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, let me think.
And I'll have another clue that will mess you all up.
Okay.
Or make it work. So, deals with the war. Author, American, I believe Indiana, either born or lived. And also involves aliens and time travel.
Okay. Yeah, that is.
But it's an anti-war novel.
It's a what?
Anti-war novel.
Oh, anti-war novel. Aliens and time travel. Wow, that took a left turn.
Unstuckness in time. Let's say that. I think that's a phrase from the book, unstuck in time.
Are you sure this is something I would have heard of?
Maybe.
Okay, well.
I watched a play of it one time and read the book. It's a pretty famous modern sci-fi anti-war book thing. But I say you'll remember me referencing it. Mm-hmm. I want to reread it, but
it's not Ender's Game, is it?
Yeah, no.
I didn't think so. Billy Pilgrim?
Billy Pilgrim. Okay, I think this is one you either know it or you don't.
I don't think I do.
All right, Slaughterhouse 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do recognize the title. Yeah. Okay.
Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah. I didn't know he was from Indiana.
I believe he is.
Huh. I had never heard that. Where was it I heard recently? Oh, some reaction show on YouTube I watch periodically. They were referencing it. They were like, they're going through Lost. Mm-hmm. And they referenced it because I guess Lost does. But okay, that makes sense. Well,
because also, Vonnegut's on, he is referenced.
Yeah. Well,
he was born and raised in Indianapolis.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. Well, I do think I was a lot nicer to you.
You were.
Yeah, I know.
But the pute wheat, like I've remembered for 20 plus years. So
I'm fairly certain you'll get this last one.
Okay.
But it seems like a nice closing line. When the long winter nights come on and the wolves follow their meat into the lower valleys, he may be seen running at the head of the pack through the pale moonlights or glimmering borealis, leaping gigantic above his fellows, his great throat a bellow as he sings a song of the younger world, which is the song of the pack.
I want to say, I don't remember exactly, but it sounds very much like Call of the Wild.
It is the Call of the Wild.
Nice.
Yep. I knew you would get it because you
I
taught it
that
recently.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah. I was blank coming up with
well,
stuff, so.
As you can see, I picked weird. I was just thinking, what's on my shelf that's famous? But my shelf has weird stuff on it.
Back at home. So
Yeah,
cool.
back home.
All right.
Yeah,
So
not here in this area.
on these mountains.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so hopefully some of you recognize some of those.
Yeah. Hope you listeners enjoyed that.
Maybe
game,
you got better than 5 points.
Maybe
They did have 20 choice
or 6
chances.
points. You wound up with 6 points, so congratulations.
Did I?
You got that last one.
Oh, I did get the last one. That's true.
And if nothing else, maybe that inspired you to go check out some of these titles.
Yes, exactly.
But Nick, they also wanted their own chance to play Once Upon a Sentence.
Okay, so we've been a little unfair here, and we may still be unfair. But this is from a book. There's an idea in this book that has stuck with me forever.
And this is not from the beginning or the end. This is from
Somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle.
I apologize. There's no one line that gets the whole idea, but I just picked a line that resonates
With you.
So again, this is probably unfair, guys. But I wanted to do something.
Oh, I guess I should mention before we launch into this, our new one. The last line that we had from last month's episode, was from Treasure Island.
Treasure Island.
And we had Katie once again. She's part of our creatives small group. She asked, is Robert Louis Stevenson Treasure Island? I said, yep. She knows me. I've talked about Treasure Island on here before. So not a big surprise. But this will be a little bit more obscure.
This will, yes. I guess they can guess knowing
what you
pick.
read?
Yeah. So, all right, here we go. And if in the name of heavenly bread, thousands and tens of thousands will follow you, what will become of the millions and tens of thousands of millions of creatures who will not be strong enough to forgo earthly bread for the sake of the heavenly? One more time.
Okay.
And if in the name of heavenly bread, thousands and tens of thousands will follow you, what will become of the millions and tens of thousands of millions of creatures who will not be strong enough to forgo earthly bread for the sake of the heavenly?
You know, even though I haven't read this book myself, I think I have read the section this comes from.
Yes.
So it's entirely possible that someone might get this. So
Good. That was my hope. This is a very famous section.
Yeah, I recognize that section. Nice.
Good. All right. I guess with that, Tim, tell us about your soundtrack before we keep walking on this road.
Sure. Well, before we do that, I want to mention real quick that we do have our website out.
Yes, please check it out. Please explore. It's so much easier. Even I go there and be like, when was the last time we did this? And look around. It's so much easier to search things.
It's like having a wiki for our own podcast, almost. But yeah, you can search for like, when was the last time we did this thing? If you look right now, the one thing that bugs me is the search bar doesn't work quite like I would like.
Yeah.
Like if you type something in it, but don't hit enter, it should bring up, if we've tagged it somewhere, it should bring up an episode. Like, say, Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
We talked about Sherlock Holmes at some point. If I tagged it, if you just type it in, it should bring it up. But if you hit enter, it will say there are no results for that.
Which makes no sense. I don't know why it does that.
Yeah, so
that's something I'd look
that's
into.
one of those bugs. But anyway, check out derailedtrainsofthought.com. And so that's
It's so weird to say.
Yeah, no, it's just derailedtrainsofthought.com.
That's nice. I like it.
Yeah,
it rings,
there you go.
It flows off the tongue better.
And of course, there's also all our weekly hijack episodes are there. We
Ordered by season now.
Ordered by season. So if you just want to hear us talk about the constant, it's a lot easier to find than scrolling through the podcast feed.
Yes.
Episode of Lost, in case for those of you who don't know. So we've got full reactions to Babylon 5 and Lost on there, as well as partial ones for Once Upon a Time and Doctor Who.
Yes.
With a few other miscellaneous
Extra
stuff. So go check that out. And also, you can always email us, derailedtrains@gmail.com.
And you can always leave a comment on the new website as well.
Indeed. And we are on Twitter and Facebook as well.
Technically.
So feel free to follow us and wish that we posted there more often.
Yes.
Anyway, as far as my soundtrack goes, I was browsing through OC Remix, looking for some classical music because I felt like classical music represents high arts that we've been talking about here today. And I came across this remix from Wild Arms. It is simply called A Symphonic Tale. And this was arranged by Paul Levasseur and performed by the University of Manitoba Symphony Orchestra.
Very nice.
Yes. So I think something about universities, that seems like a place where we're learning, specifically seeking out knowledge and educating
And being exposed
ourselves.
to those sorts of things we never would have thought to try.
Yeah. And I thought this was just a beautiful remix. So it's a live recording that actually took place when the orchestra played it at a concert. You can hear like some audience noise here and there.
Nice.
So I hope you enjoy it.
All right, well, let's just keep moving on. I'm sure nothing will try to stop us from getting to that city over there.
Yeah, I think it should be smooth sailing. That's what the Christian life is all about,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
Nothing ever goes wrong.
No, nothing. All right.
Heavy
Anyways.
sarcasm here. Heavy sarcasm here.
Adios, everyone. This has been Nick.
And this is Tim.
Bye.
Bye-bye.